Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Gadget deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one because it's a super fun deck that basically is one of the most budget decks in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! You can get the entire main deck except for maybe the hand traps, let's just say the core of the deck, for about $20 or so. It's a really cheap, fun deck, and I really quickly want to give a shout out to Malco40 because this is his favorite deck, is Gadgets. That's what his whole channel, mascot is based around, so I really quickly wanted to give him a shout out. But let's get straight into this, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next so you can become part of the notification squad, and let's get straight into this. But before we do, I really quickly want to mention to you guys that we do have a Ko-Fi and a Patreon down in the description. If you guys would like to donate to the channel, definitely check out those links, and any donation that you guys do decide to donate to the channel really helps out. So let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're just going to be playing 2 copies of Green Gadget, which when this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you get to add from your deck to your hand a Red Gadget, which we play 2 Red Gadget, which lets us add Yellow Gadget. So basically these cards constantly let us add other copies of other gadgets from our deck to our hand to be able to constantly loop through our gadgets at least twice in this deck to be able to get into multiple copies and get multiple pluses off of searching one another, which is really cool to be able to get into multiple gadgets. Then help us get into rank 4s, because this deck is essentially a rank 4 spam deck. We're going to be playing 3 copies of Gold Gadget and 3 copies of Silver Gadget, which share the ability that when they are normal or special summoned to your side of the field, you get to normal summon or special summon a level 4 machine monster from your hand. And if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can special summon 1 level 4 gadget monster from your deck, except another copy of each of themselves. If you destroy gold, you can't special summon gold. If you destroy silver, you can't special summon silver. So that's something that you have to keep in mind about your gadgets. So really cool kind of lineup. Then we play 3 copies of Boot Up Corporal Command Dynamo. Command Dynamo is where the deck starts getting really interesting. So when this card, you can target up to 2 machine gadget monsters in your graveyard, and then or you control with different names, and then special summon this card from your hand. Then equip those targets to this card and negate their effects, regardless of their type, which is really cool. And then you can only use the effect of Boot Up Corporal Command Dynamo once per turn, and then this card gains 1,000 attack for each card equipped to this card. So it comes out at 2,000, which is pretty good. And you can target up to 2 machine monsters. So you can just target 1 and then special summon this card from your hand, which can help us with rank 4s or link plays or stuff like that. Really good card in the deck. You always want to open this card up because you can just instantly have, if you have a gadget in your graveyard, you can just special summon it. Like normal summon silver, special summon red, link them away for platinum, and then use Boot Up Corporal to special summon, and then go from there and go into so many different plays. Then we play 3 copies of Boot Up Admiral Destroyer Dynamo, which is the big boss monster of the deck. You could probably get away with just playing 2 of this because the spell card kind of searches it, but I really like the 3 of in this deck. It has the ability that cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from your hand by sending 2 gadget monsters from your hand or face up in your field to the graveyard. Cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects while you control a gadget monster. And then you can once per turn target one other card on the field and destroy it. So it instantly pops 1 card your opponent controls. It can't be destroyed by card effects or by battle when you have gadgets on the field. This card's a really good boss monster. I just wish it had 3,000 attack. It was just a little bit bigger than it actually is. Then we play 2 copies of Machina Fortress. Machina Fortress really helps out in the deck because you just discard itself and another machine monster from your hand, and then special summon it from your hand, which is pretty cool. Or a graveyard if you discarded it for its own card effect. And then when this card you control is targeted by your opponent's card effect, you can look at your opponent's hand and discard a card. And if it's destroyed by battle, you can select 1 card on the field and that your opponent controls and destroy it, which is pretty cool as well. So it's just a good 2,500 beat stick that you can just special summon constantly onto your side of the field. Then we play 3 copies of Ash Blossom, which really helps out because we just don't want to deal with our opponent's stuff. You know, it's just a really good hand trap that you just need. And then 3 copies of Nibiru, because you can always pop the token with Boot Up Admiral and Machina. You can just get rid of it pretty easily. So really good to be able to play that Nibiru in here to be able to distribute everything and get rid of a lot of stuff. So It doesn't look like much on paper, but the extra deck is where you start excelling. But basically what you're trying to do is get 2 level 4s on the field to be able to special summon out a rank 4 to be able to go into all sorts of different plays. So that's it for the monsters. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Call by the Grave. You want to play 3 copies of Call by the Grave because you don't want to get hand trapped and you're constantly searching in this deck. So you really want to play the 3 Call by the Grave to stop your opponent from hand trapping you. 1 copy of Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn comes in really handy in this deck because you are playing a bunch of gadgets, and when they're summoned, you get to activate their effects. 1 copy of Scapegoats. Scapegoats comes in really handy as well because what you're trying to do basically with the Scapegoats is put a bunch of monsters on the field to be able to link away into something like a Boral Sword. Now, you don't have to, as of Master Rule 5, have to link summon in this deck at all, but it really does help to be able to link summon into something like a Boral Sword or Mrs. Radiant to make your other gadget monsters get really big. So you want to play the Scapegoats as a 1-of. 1 copy of Double or Nothing, because going into Utopia Double and OTKing your opponent is extremely viable in this deck and the main play that you're going to be trying to do all the time. 2 copies of Limiter Removal, because Limiter Removal comes in clutch in this deck, because everything's machine, so you can double your Boot Up Admiral to 5,000, and it can't be destroyed by card effects or by battle if you control a gadget monster. So it's really interesting if you control a gadget monster and then activate this. It doesn't destroy it, but it destroys all your other machine monsters, which is kind of cool. But it's a really good double attack your opponent, or double all your monsters attack and then swing kind of thing. 2 copies of Iron Draw. Iron Draw is something that I really like in here because it kind of sets you up for the next turn. If you control exactly 2 machine monsters and no other monsters, you get to draw 2, but for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon. You can only special summon 1 more time. Not that big of a deal because what you're going to try and do with this is activate or normal summon a silver or a gold and then normal summon another copy of another gadget. And then activate Iron Draw, and since they're machines, you just get to draw 2, and then you link them or you overlay them into Baguska or a Utopia Double. If you want to be defensive, you go for Baguska. If you want to be offensive, you go for Utopia Double, and then swing. It just depends on what you want to do, but you're usually only going to make that 1 rank 4 anyways, so Iron Draw comes in clutch in this deck as a 2-of. And then we play 3 copies of Boot Up Order Gear Charge. Gear Charge is interesting that when it's activated, you can target any number of gadget monsters you control that are equipped to a monsters and then special summon them. It combos really well with your Boot Up, the level 4 Boot Up monster. What's his name? Boot Up Commander. I knew it was Boot Up something. Boot Up Commander, Command Dynamo. Command Dynamo really combos well with him because if you have 2 gadgets equipped to him, it really makes it easy to go for Boral Sword and stuff like that. And then you can discard a card and then add a Boot Up Admiral Destroyer Dynamo from your deck to your hand, which can be really nice because it can just search it. And you can get multiple copies of it in your hand and then special summon them out on the field and just overwhelm your opponent with Boot Up Admirals, which can be really, really nice. It even kind of suggests what you're supposed to do on the card artwork with this. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. I do actually play 2 traps in here, and that is 2 copies of Power Hold the Moving Battery. So this card actually is really underrated in gadget decks. I see some people playing it as 0, and it's really disappointing to see this card playing at 0 because it's super good as a recovery card. You get to special summon this card as an effect monster with 0 attack and 2,000 defense, and then you can equip a level 4 machine type gadget monster from your hand or deck to this card. And then if summoned this way, this card gains attack equal to double the attack of the monster equipped to this card by its effect. You always, since you can equip from deck, you always want to equip Silver Gadget because it's your biggest gadget in the entire deck. It's kind of unfortunate Boot Up Admiral Destroyer Dynamo is not a gadget monster because then you could summon a 5,000 trap monster. But this essentially makes a 3,400 attack point monster on summon, which is pretty cool because it doubles 17, and 17 times 2 is 34, because 7 and 7 is 14, and then 2 and 2 is, you know, you get the math. It summons something really big that can help you OTK your opponent, especially if you have limiter removal on the field and your monsters get destroyed and you just kind of bring up a little bit short of OTKing your opponent. You can resolve this, summon this, and then have a 3400 beat stick that your opponent has to deal with, which is really nice. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we are going to be playing a couple of Link monsters. So we're going to be playing 2 copies of Platinum Gadget. Platinum Gadget comes in clutch sometimes because it can't be used as Link material, but it also has the ability that during your main phase, you can special summon a level 4 or lower machine monster from your hand, and you can use to the zone this card points to. And then if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can special summon a level 4 Gadget monster from your deck, which is really nice to be able to get additional gadgets on your side of the field. 2 copies of Mrs. Radiant. Mrs. Radiant is really good in this deck because it boosts all of your monsters up by 500. If they're Earth monsters, which the majority of everything in this deck is Earth, except for your Silver and Gold Gadget, which are light. So you have to keep that in mind about this deck. 1 copy of Bull Sword for our last Link monster, just to kind of help us OTK. Now for the rank 4s, where this deck starts really ramping it up, we're going to be playing a Gearganta X to search the gadgets that we need. Evilsworn Exciton Knight to OTK or to blow board if we need to. Tornado Dragon to pop back row. Baguska for our defensive play that we mentioned earlier. 1 copy of number 60, Timeless. Douglas, I just call him Douglas. This card's really good because it lets you either skip your draw phase to draw 2, skip your following draw phase, draw 2, discard 1, skip your next main phase, special summon a monster from your graveyard in defense, or skip your next battle phase and double the attack of a monster you control. It's a great extender. It's probably one of the best extenders in the entire game. And then we play a Utopia Engine, which is 1 copy of Utopia Double and a copy of Utopia for the 10,000 swing that we're going to be able to do in this deck. 1 copy of Utopia, or another copy of Utopia, Utopia Prime, and Utopia the Lightning to be able to attack twice with 5,000. It just kind of depends on what you want to go for in this deck. If you want to go for the 1-hit swing, you go for double. If you go for the 2-hit swing that you're going to be able to OTK your opponent and you're feeling a little shady because your opponent might have a Mirror Force or something like that, like some sort of Mirror Force card or some way to stop you from attacking, you go for Utopia Lightning and then swing because it can't activate cards or effects in response to its battle, which is really cool. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's a really fun deck, and like I said, it's super budget. And I really wanted to build this deck because it's just a good deck. It's fun. It's generic. Like, you can play a lot of different cards in this deck. I went for more of a basic gadget build in this build, but you can play all sorts of weird stuff. Like, you can play Urgent Schedule in here. You can play Trains. You can play the Infinitrax. You can play a lot of different stuff in this deck to make it even more of a, you know, good, I guess, OTK spam deck. But I wanted to go for a rank 4 deck. So that's why I built it the way I did. So again, shout outs to Malco40. I wanted to do this deck profile for him. I thought it'd be really interesting to build a gadget deck and show my rendition of that deck. And anyways, as always, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.